Hello everybody, Steffi here from The Makers, suffering terribly today from hay fever, so I'm hoping that I'm sufficiently drugged up now to get through the next hour or so without having to sneeze constantly. So I apologize in advance, but it's really been the worst year since I can remember when it comes to hay fever. So, hello everybody. I hope you're sort of slowly but surely coming into the live stream. I've started just a second early, or maybe it was a minute, because obviously we are doing this live stream not just because we want to make one of these beauties, but there's a lot about mixing wool to get the absolutely perfect match to your feline friend. So I'm just going to have a little check-in and see who's here already. Colette was the first to say hello, fluffies. Carol says hi, Steffi and felting friends. Dawn says evening, Steffi, and hope you've all had a good day. Janet says hello all. Sharon says good evening, everyone. Jane says hi, Steffi, Colette, Carol and fluff friends. Rose says evening all. So quite a few people, the numbers are going up, so I will just fill the space with words. And I am not going to talk about anything that I might potentially have on me, okay? I'm going to completely ignore it because I'm not officially allowed to talk about it. So that's it. Right. Oh, my cup of tea. I'm going to have a cup of tea. A cat-themed cup, of course. It's nearly finished my tea, so I'm going to just sculpt the last bit down before we start fully. Right. That's that done. And see who else. Oh, my goodness. The numbers are going up, so that's lovely. Hello, everyone, says Nicola. Carol says hi all. Another Carol. Fiona says evening. Lynn says hi. Evening from a very hot Putney, London. Yes, it's been very warm here as well. Yes, so a very warm day. Finally, the summer has come. And some of you absolutely love it and some of you absolutely hate it. And most of the time there's always something wrong with the weather, so nothing's new. That's the one thing I've learned living in this country, is that the weather always gets talked about, and the weather could always be different. And when it's different, it could then also be different. So this is just one of those things. I personally love the sunshine. I just don't like exercising or doing anything strenuous in the sun. All I want to do is lie down and then go into the sea to cool off. That's my sort of thing. None of that has happened today, obviously, because I live nowhere near the sea, and I doubt that I would want to go into the sea around here because it's never that warm at the seaside, even in the hottest summer. So I think I'm more of a Mediterranean sea swimmer. So here comes the first nose blow. You can count. I've actually got a loo roll here now. I've given up with just using tissue paper, and I do apologize. It's I've been keeping my fingers crossed that it will ease off a little bit, but it comes in waves. So anyway, if I just don't think about it, then maybe it goes away. Here we go. Let's catch up. Lynn says hi, Steffi. Fiona says evening. I might have said that already. Oh yeah, I read backwards. Stacy says hello, 2 days in a row, such a treat. Yeah, and all the way in the US as well, Stacy. So Christine says love your brooch. Brooch? I'm not wearing a brooch. I'm not wearing earrings, and I'm not wearing a different pendant. I'm wearing none of that. Anne says, and relax. Hi all. It's fairly tropical here in Wiltshire. Done a few bits outside, but have been chilling for most of the day. Lovely. Yes, lovely for you. I'm very pleased for you, Anne. Very pleased for you. Not envious in the slightest. Christine says, love the brooch. Got a few people watching here. Evening all from a warm but overcast Lincolnshire. Yeah, we still got absolutely bright sunshine. So Lauren says, hi Steffi, watching from sea houses. I agree, definitely not going in the sea despite the sun. Yes, this is it. So, right. So basically, some of you have probably done this cut project with me last year as part of the Cats Protection. Would you believe it that we are now, well, we've had 4 projects and we are embarking on the 5th very soon. So I thought what might be really nice is for those who've never done the cats decoration, because there will be plenty of you, you can still do it, because we actually have all of the kits that we have done with Cats Protection. They're now in slightly different boxes, but they are available to purchase from us from our website. And it doesn't stop there. We still support Cats Protection and Craft for Cats by giving 20% of the proceeds, well, of the retail price actually. So if you paid £20 just to keep the maths really simple, £4 goes to Cats Protection, and the rest obviously goes into the kit and everything else. So it's actually quite a large number when it comes to, and I should know, we work with lots of brands, so that's quite a generous donation back to Cats Protection. But we don't mind, because we love cats and we love helping this lovely charity. So this was the Cats Protection project last year. Some of you might remember that we started out with a little curled up cat. They were sort of famously known as little prawns, because that's what they looked for a lot of people. They looked like prawns for a long time until you put the ears on. We did a cat angel, which I've got here, but he's only got one wing. I don't know what happened to the other one. I just found him sitting around here. And then we also did a cat bauble, which I haven't got here to hand. But all of the kits are available to buy from us still. And of course, like I say, we are supporting Cats Protection. So this kit here, even if you are watching this way later, you can still catch up. We always upload all of our live streams on Facebook up onto our YouTube channel. So make sure you check that one out, because there may be lots that you've missed in the past. And the cat bauble one is definitely on there. So you can catch up with that anytime. Right. Let's see. I'm hooked on making these cats. Think I've done more than 20. My goodness, altogether. That's amazing, Dawn. Fiona says, today the sun has been showing us what it really is. A burning ball of fire. Absolutely. It was definitely very hot today. Bought the kit last year, but it's still waiting to be made up. Well, you don't need to wait any longer, Gina. Just get it out and start now. Maureen says, hi from Lakefield, Ontario. Very hot today. Emily says, hi everyone. I'm reading backwards again. Oh yes, so I caught up. Rightio. Okay, let's get started. I'm going to unpack the box, and then you can see what you need to make it. So here's the box. If you ever wonder how to get into our boxes, the tape actually can be peeled off, because it never goes over the front of the box. It just sort of goes up the side, and then it's really easy to open the box. Now I've taken the instructions out already, but all of the kits that we're selling on behalf of Cats Protection still have got this little postcard in there, and there's all the lush wool with all these different colors. And I always love that all of these different color make virtually every single variety of cat. So I'm just going to pop these to one side. This is the wool I need to start with. That's the main core wool. You also get your felting mat in there, which I'm not going to use today, but you can if that's all you've got. You get the glue in eyes. I'll talk about this in a minute. Now, there are whiskers and some thread in there. So the thread is to hang them up if you want them as a hanging decoration, but they do stand on all 4 legs as well. And then you get 3 felting needles in there, and they're all the same size. So sometimes needles can break, and we just want to make sure that you don't finish your project because you've run out of needles. That would be such a shame. So that's where we are now, and let's have a look at one of the cats that is here posing on this little shelf. So here we go. That's the cat. They are quite stylized, obviously, but you will make your cat yours by adding the feature that you know only your cat has got. So whiskers are here. I think he must have been in the box lying slightly with his whiskers askew. You get 2 colored sets. You get 2 sets of colored whiskers. One is dark and the other one is light. So for all of these different color cats that you might want to make, or there are out there. And then the eyes, sorry, I've got to blow my nose again. The eyes on this cut are green, but in the kit the eyes are clear. And the reason why these are green and the ones in the kit are clear is because these have been coloured in from the back with a Sharpie pen. So I show you all of this as well. Right here, let's get started. So I'm going to pop all these colours to one side because I need to get going to make my base cat. Let's just have a quick look at these eyes so I can maybe colour them in already, and then they're ready for when I'm ready. So these are, oh, they've given me the wrong eyes. Oh, damn doodles, that's not good. Okay, might have to query that because these are black eyes and we wanted coloured eyes. However, don't despair, I know the way around this already. So we'll face that in a minute. I'm just going to pop them back in there. I have to query that with everybody tomorrow, but I have a way to make the eyes the colour I want them to be. So let's just get started on making the cat. So this is the core wool that you get in there, and I'm going to follow the instructions as best as I can. I'm notorious for not following the instructions. So whether you're making a grey, ginger tabby, a single colour cat, black, white, grey or a tortie, you will start by making the basic shape from the neutral core wool. The first time you will need to decide on colours is when you are making the ears. Note that you will need a waterproof felted pen to colour in the back of the eyes. No, you don't. Not in my kit, you don't. To start, take off a pinch about 3 grams of the main cream wool, the larger quantity of the wool you have. Now, if you haven't got scales, what I always say is look at the, so you've got 18 grams of this wool. This is 18 grams and 3 grams is 1/6. I know that's a weird way of looking at it, but if you can fit it 6 times in there, then you've got the right amount. So I'm just going to take off a pinch like this, and I think that would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, that would be the 6th part. Maybe take that bit off as well. I'm going to put this to one side. So, sorry, need to just stub my nose again. And then you split the remaining wool into 1/3 and 2/3. So 1/3, when you split wool, just don't fight it. Just let it do its thing, just gently. It's counterintuitive splitting wool because you want to pull really hard, but you actually have to gently let it slither away. So I've got 1/3 and then 2/3, and I take the larger 2/3 portion and flatten out into a 16 by 30 centimeter flat sheet. Now, if you don't know, we have actually got a tape measure on the side of our instructions here. So you can sort of tease that. You can tease the wool. This is it. So tease it slightly wider and make it slightly longer, and then repeat the process. So tease it slightly wider and then make it slightly longer until you're happy with the shape. And then you're going to, oh yes, I should just say, if you've got smaller bits of wool, if they've sort of come off like that and you don't know what to do with them, just pop them on top of the larger bits of wool. So that's basically what you do. And from the short end, begin rolling in the wool. And then you're going to actually start already stabbing with your felting needle into this part here, because it makes a nice tight sausage if you already use your felting needle to stab in there. Remember, you need a medium needle. They're all the same, so if you have the kit, then just pick any of them and stab into the wool. Sorry, I've just got to change my needle because that was definitely not a medium one. So just stab into the shape here as you're rolling it up. And what you want to do is you don't just want to roll it, you also want to fold the sides in. So all of our instructions have got templates as and when they're needed. And what you're aiming for is that basic body shape. So this bit here on my mat at the moment needs to fit into that template eventually. So I'm going to show you how to do this. So it's now, it stays close together. And if you've never needle felted before, I have just literally done the most important thing that you need to know, which is basically stab into the wool in a straight line going up and down. Hear that crunch? That's the felting mat underneath that takes the needle, but also the wool takes it. So, and then as you roll your shape up, you're also tucking the sides in, because you want to fit it into that shape. So just roll it in a little bit more and stab again. So you're already stabbing into the sides where you want the reduction to take place. So wherever you stab the needle is where the wool shrinks back and becomes firmer. That's all you need to know about the needle stabbing. It is literally the wool gets tangled up with the these notches at the end of the needle, catching the fibers and pulling them in and felting them together. So I'm just going to speed this up a little bit. So just keeping it nice and squished. I always sort of squish the sides a bit more as I go along. And then the last wispy fibers, you can just fold over the shape and then felt down. And that is your shape closed up now. Now, not saying it fits the template, but it's not far off. So if there's a bit sticking out, like there is here, that's the bit you want to felt down. So I'm going to sit it on my felting mat so that I can always stab with my needle in the direction of the felting mat. That keeps your fingers safe. So you don't do this, because if you do this, you're stabbing towards your hand, when you could easily just pop it onto the felting mat so that you're stabbing downwards away from your fingers. That's one way of keeping your fingers absolutely safe. So stab this all over a little bit to even it out and felt it down so that it's nice and neat, though all of this will be covered with other wool, obviously. As I said, this is just the core wool inside. All cuts start out the same, and then you determine whether it's going to be a plain colored cut or a multicolored cut. Even the white cut needs to be covered with with a wool that's a little bit whiter than this cream colored one. Right, I'm quite happy with my sausage here now. And so let's get on with the instructions, what happens next. So the legs. Take the 1/3, remember this is the smaller batch that I split off earlier, and split into 5 equal portions, about 1 gram each. So I'm going to do this. 1, 2, 3, oh, there's a bit more there, 3, pop that to one side, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, from experience and having done this before, these are all 5 equal portions, but I've actually got a bit spare here, because if you don't want the legs to be really, really thick and fat, then just take a little bit less of the wool, and you can always add more. So I've actually added this now to my little pile of the strand that I picked off earlier. So 5 equal parts now on my desk here, and you take one portion and you're going to shape this. One portion, put these away, there's one portion, and you shape this into a flat sheet of 5 by 12 centimeters. So just measure this again, it's actually quite a bit longer, so I'm just going to tease this off. So this is the right length, so I'm popping the other one on top of it, and now I just need to tease it sideways to make it the right width, which is that. Okay, that's now my sheet that I'm going to work with. So remember, if you have smaller parts, place them on the larger part that's already the right size. So now I'm going to do exactly what we did earlier. I'm going to roll this wool in, but this time I'm not tucking the sides in. So I'm still felting it as I'm going. And so I stub it down as I roll it up and roll it along. Stab it down. Ooh, my foot's just gone to sleep. That's such a horrible feeling. There we go. Keep going. So satisfying. Stabbing that wool. Okay, all the way. So if you have a length that's more than 3.5 to 4 centimeters, it actually does say in the instructions. I told you I'm so terrible following instructions to fold the sides in. So I'm going to do that on this side, and I'm going to do this on this side. So what we are actually ending up with are sort of four little stumps for the legs. So I'm repeating the process in a minute. But the lovely thing with needle felting is, even if you haven't done everything exactly how you're meant to do it, there are always ways of adjusting it. And I think that's just the beauty about needle felting. Everything can be corrected right up until the very last end. So I'm already felting the sides down, but even though I'm going in from the side, which in theory would be towards my hand, I'm actually going slightly down into the felting mat. So keep the needle away from your fingers. It does hurt if you stab yourself. So that's one. Only 3 more to do. So about 12 centimeters. Lay this on top. Spread it out. Wind it in. Stab it down as you do it, and roll it some more, and roll it some more. Do make sure you give us a like on the video here, get more people watching it as we start spreading the word about craft for cats and cats protection. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, basically we are going to run another fundraiser for cats protection again, and this is this is what's getting us warmed up. This is a project we did last year, but it's a nice project to maybe just get your skills back into action if you haven't done it for a while, and it will definitely show you, I will definitely show you how to mix all the colors. So now what I'm noticing is that this is slightly smaller, but because I've put some wool aside, I can easily now make that the same size as the other one by just adding a little bit of wool around the outside, another layer, and then I felt that down, and I instantly have the same size. So if in any doubt, always go a little bit smaller, have spare wool to add over the top, and you can adjust everything in terms of needle felting. So that's much better now. Right, 2 more. So here is my 12 centimeter long strand. Lots of little strands here, so I'm just going to overlay them onto the big one. Same here. Tease it slightly out, make it slightly wider, start rolling it in like this, and then stab it down as I'm going along. How many of you have got actually cats at home? Who's got cats that are probably right now being a total nuisance, trying to stop you from doing what you want to do? My cat is, I don't know where he is. He is a very non-indoors cat during the summer. We hardly see him. He just likes hanging out outside. I'm actually not so sure if he even sleeps indoors, because the usual places are often not occupied. So I'm not sure what he does, where he goes. He is definitely there first thing in the morning when I get up, and asks for food. So obviously we do that. But he's quite a well-behaved cat in that he doesn't sort of wake us up in the middle of the night because he wants something. He's quite contented. He's quite an independent-minded cat. He's a Bengal cat actually, called Georgie. And when I first started working, doing this sort of work with craft for cats and cats protection, I had my little Dolly still, our little tabby cat. She was the sweetest thing. I absolutely love that cat. Georgie, I love Georgie too, but in a different way, because he's a very He chooses his moments when he wants to be affectionate, and if you miss them, then he'll soon let you know when he's not affectionate anymore. Right, so now I'm going to make the fourth leg. Same principle. You get to sort of know the size by looking at it, but also it's not really that scientific if it's a little bit wider or not as wide the wool that you start out with. You can soon adjust it as you're felting it down. So folding the sides in as well, and then keep rolling it up into the sausage shape. So that's number 4. Now the firmer you felt this, which basically means the more you stab it and the deeper you stab the needle with each stab, that makes the shape much firmer, because you're not just felting the surface, you're actually felting the whole shape. The more stable your cat is standing on the 4 legs, unless you decide to have it as a hanging decoration, then it doesn't matter so much. So I now have 4 legs complete, and the 5th portion will go for the tail. So this time you do exactly what you did before. You felt the shape down, same principle, but this time you do definitely not close the shape up by stabbing into the last wispy ends when it's felted down. So this time we want to keep the length longer. Some cats have got longer, some have got shorter tails, some are bushier, some are skinnier. You can adjust all of this as you are making the cut. And you can actually slim one end down a little bit more by just stabbing into it a bit more. That way you already get that tapered shape of a tail. And then roll this rest up and stab the rest down as well. So you've got here now your tail taking shape. Let's see what people are saying whilst I'm stabbing away. The messages are popping up. All mines are rescues, says Christine, and she's got 6. Wow, let's come up for a bit of air whilst you may be catching up. So we've got Stacy says, I'm allergic but love them. I'm allergic to cats too, but not to Bengals. So Bengals seem to have a different, I don't really understand it myself, but they have a different makeup that seems to be anti-allergy cats. I don't really know what the science behind is, but if anybody here knows, do let me know. Anne says, I love these little mongies. I'm taking a kit to Devon when I go, and I'll make a tabby for a friend whose best cat friend has just died. I named him for her when he came into her life. Oh no, and it stuck with him. Buckbrush. Buckbrush was his name, which always made people laugh at the vets. I can't think why. That's hilarious. What was he called for short? Boggy? Or I don't know. Or did you just call him Buckbrush? That's hilarious. I love that. So sweet. Yes, lovely name. Dawn says 3 cats currently, all outside. Excellent. Sharon says, I have 1 cat. She is sleeping on top of kitchen cupboard at the moment. Oh, Anne says, of course, you already know I have Max, who is here watching with me. Yes, absolutely. I know you've got Max, and he's a very elderly gentleman cat. I do know that too. So I hope that he's paying attention to this needle felting business. Angie says we only have 1 cat now, a Bengal British blue moggy. Oh, nice. Boggy for short. I wondered about that. Boggy for short. Oh, Buckbrush. Honestly, I can only assume he looked like one. when you got him. Anyway, I've got a tail, I've got 4 legs, I've got a body, and we're slowly but surely assembling this cat. So let's keep moving to the next page. And so what I suggest now is that you get a pen ready, because you're gonna have to attach the 4 legs to the base of the body. It sounds really easy, but once you start adding the legs onto it, you will soon lose track. Now where's this to go again? So just mark it. It doesn't matter what color pen you use. Just mark the legs so that you've got a nice square. Sorry, rectangle actually. Have a nice rectangle, and then you take one leg, pop it onto the dot or the bit that you've marked, and then you stab into the leg simultaneously as you stab into the base of the body. So you're pushing the fibers that are on the leg, you're pushing them into the body, and that attaches the leg. Now it's not fully attached, there's other things we're going to do, but it's good enough for it to stay in place. This is also a chance to shorten the legs if you want to, because you can work your way from quite far up of the leg and push it down, push the needle down so that it sinks into the body. So one leg attached, and then you do this for a second leg. They will get shorter as you do this anyway, because you're obviously losing some of the wool that you felt, or some of the length that you felt into the body, but you can do this even more if you want to. Second leg going on now. So make sure that they're the same length. That definitely helps for the cat to stand evenly. I keep picking little bits of dried up grass out there. That's also referred to in the felting world as VM, which stands for vegetable matter. And it just goes to show that the sheep have had a good time, and still probably have, being in the grass and running around, and it's just dried up grass basically. Right, 2 legs attached, and now attach number 3. Get that felted on, so make sure you felt it down from all directions so that the leg sticks out at a right angle rather than maybe leaning forward or backwards or sideways. You can adjust the position of the leg by where you stab into the wool, and this one needs to be shortened a little bit, so I'm going to be going higher up of the leg, on the leg, and stab it down into the body. Jane says, mine is a long-furred ginger and white cat with a long fluffy tail. He's called Hamish. I know that, Jane. I know you've got Hamish. And Gina says, we lost both of ours earlier in the year, and now we've recently adopted a 13-year-old cat that got left behind. Oh my goodness, after the owners moved. A neighbor's cat also seems to be making his home here too. So now we are back to 2 cats again. Well, this is the thing about cats. They choose you, don't they? You can't always choose them, and in fact cats often have more than one home. So I don't think Georgie has, because he's got to walk a long way to get to another home, and I think he's a bit lazy. Excuse my sniffly nose. It's the hay fever. Absolutely horrendous. If anybody else suffers from it, I do feel for you. It's been the worst year for hay fever for me in a long time. So in fact I can't remember it being so bad. Maybe when I was a child, I don't know, but certainly as an adult this has been the worst year for hay fever for me. So I've gladly taken all kinds of advice on board, and you can do all kinds of things to counter it, but I wasn't ready today. I didn't expect it to come with such a vengeance. So I've just taken another hay fever tablet. There's 2 types that you can take simultaneously, which I now have done, but we have to go out and buy it. And I think it's starting to work, because I thought it's been so bad that I actually thought I was having a cold, and it's only when I leave where I live here and go into the city that it suddenly disappears, and I feel absolutely fine. And that's happened a couple of times. So I've worked out this is definitely hay fever and not an illness. Right, so here we go. Yes, it's the local honey. Well, I know the problem is local honey is helping you because I think your body sort of gets used to the pollen locally, and then it's not like going crazy. Oh, we don't like this. Yes, and I'm working on it. I'm just never here often enough to do anything. I've been away so much. Right, very funny looking cat here at the moment. In fact, looks more like a four-legged stool. And then finally we're going to put now the tail on it as well. So tail coming on. Now you can have the tail pointing up, or you can have the tail, I don't know, hanging down, pointing up, whichever way. I think pointing up, that's quite good for cats. Sort of a regular occurrence. Let's put this tail on, and you can still adjust the position at any point, whether you want the tail up or down. So let's get that felted on, and there we go. What you will find is, as you're attaching the body parts, you will adjust other parts of the cat at the same time. It's a very natural thing to happen with needle felting, where you mess with one area and then suddenly you feel you have to mess with another area too. So don't be too perfectionist about the cat at this stage, because everything's about to change. Just felting this down a little bit more. So the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to give the cat the muzzle. And you take off a small pinch, and I really urge you to keep it small, a small pinch of the main wool that I've just put aside, and you just make a little sausage shape out of that. Oh, I should say there are actually templates on the back if you need to refer to sizes. I've sort of winged it a little bit, haven't I? Right, there's the leg. And there's the muzzle. So the muzzle and the leg is very similar, and there's the tail. I didn't even bother looking at that because I've made so many of them. I'm doing them by looking at the shape and the size. So whilst the muzzle is the same length as the leg, potentially, it doesn't have to be. So I have got a few cats that have got a smaller and some that have got a bigger muzzle, and I'll show you the difference now. This is sort of quite... well, I don't know, they're all quite... I've got the cat here with a small one. I've got one of my favorites is a little black cat, and she's got a really small muzzle. But this is what we're working on now, is the chubby cheeks. Our cat has a habit of literally blowing those bits of his face up, like puffing his cheeks up, because when he gets cross. It's the funniest sight. You can always tell, because I don't know what he does. He must blow air into it, surely. Or maybe it's just his facial muscles that make it sort of appear that way. So you will want to shorten this a little bit, especially if you want to keep the muzzle quite delicate. Depends. You might have a cat with a big muzzle, or you might like it better with a larger larger cheeks or muzzle. Right, here we go. I'm making this a small one. So felting this all over. This is one of the things about 2D needle felting, 3D needle felting. You do have to keep turning it out. That was my finger. You do have to keep turning it so that you get into, get it even all around. Have I drawn blood? Just a little bit. Okay, so now we attach the muzzle, I should say, and you do this by placing it onto your cat, and then you actually stab into the center. You want to make that indentation there, so you split it in half, basically. But you also have to felt it on around the edges, like this. And you could do this at the opposite end for something else. But anyway, I'm just giving you tiny ideas. Here we go. Right, that's that. And then we're going to now make the nose. For this you have some pink wool. There. Well, put it this way. You don't need to use pink. If your cat hasn't got a pink nose, don't put pink on right now. Put the color on that your cat's nose is. So, I don't know. What am I going to do? Most of the cats here have a pink nose. That one has got a black nose. You do whatever you want. But I show you how the nose is made. So you take off a wisp like this. And you sort of shape it roughly into a triangle. Take a tiny wisp. Make a flat, thin sheet of about 3 by 3 centimeters. And use your fingers and fold the wisps of 2 sides over. So 1 and then 2. To make a triangle like this. I'm going to felt this down. So that's a triangular shape. And this, I'm felting this on my felting mat, so I need to lift it off as soon as I can. And you keep the base open. And then this part here, that triangular bit, sits on fits into that dip here that you've needle felted earlier. So it goes in there, and you're going to attach that part first. It's really important that you work symmetrical as best as you can. So just get that felted into that that gap here between the two sides of the cheek, and then you're going to fold in the top to make it neat. So you can just do this slowly by just stabbing into the top, and the wool get pulled in. So don't allow the wool to get spread out. Just felt it down so it gets makes a neat edge, and then just felt the whole thing down. So you do this the same way with a different color nose. If your cat has got a multicolored nose, then maybe start with a lighter color. Make that triangular shape, and then just add a smudge of whatever other color your cat has got on top. So at the moment it looks like this. It looks a little bit weird. I will give you that. So we talked about the eyes, and that you actually, if you have got what I have got, you've got the wrong eyes in there. But before I proceed with the eyes, I just tell you what I'm planning on doing. So you can actually use, and this is almost a technique that we're doing next time, you can actually use either white wool, the cream wool, or use a little bit of white. And if you need to color this in, you can either use a Sharpie pen, a crayon, or a pencil. So say you want to give your cat, I don't know, let's say you want to give your cat green eyes. Just color the wool in just make it the color you want it to be. So just color the wool in, whether you use a Sharpie pen or whether you use a crayon, and just mix it a little bit so so that you get the color that you want. If this is too green for you, then you could add a little bit of blue in it. That will dampen down the green and make it a little bit darker. If your cat has got amber eyes, you don't need to worry too much, because we have got amber here. And when we put the eyes in, we just put that behind the eye as the iris, and then the pupil will be black. But we don't need to do that yet, but you can have a think about what color eyes your cat should have. So I'm going to put that green to one side now, and you couldn't tell that this has just been colored in with a Sharpie pen. You can use, like I say, a crayon or a pencil. Right, before we do anything else now, we need to decide what color cat am I making. Now the one cat that's missing on my cat arrangement here is probably, oh, I don't know, there isn't one missing, I think. I've got a couple of ginger tabbies, a black one, a grey tabby, and a grey cat, a white cat, and quite a dark tortie. So maybe I should make a light tortie, so with lots of white and ginger in it. So I'm going to decide now on the cat's ears. Now a tortie often has got very asymmetrical pattern. So now I'm going to start on the coloring of the tail, and I'm going to decide that this tail is going to be more gingery than black. So for this is what you can use. You can take 2 colors of wool. This is where the interesting bit comes in. And you can you can tease the wool apart to make a new mix altogether. If you like stripes, then you want it to be less mixed. So make sure that the color of your wool that you're teasing hasn't been completely blended, but that it almost looks a little bit stripy, because when you use this now, I'm going to tease this a little bit longer, and you wrap that around the tail, you get an automatic stripy look that you don't have to add as a detail into the surface. So get the wool on and give it a stripy look like that, and then felt it down. So I'm going to felt this wool right at the base so that it also goes into the body, because that's another way of making sure that tail is attached. And you can just stab along the tail to get it felted on. Just felt that down. So if I'm making a torty cat, the likelihood is that the nose is probably not pink. The nose is probably sort of slightly smudged. So I'm going to already put a little black smudge on that nose, just to be contrary. Here we go. All cats have got their very individual markings, and that is what makes your cat the mini-me cat that you're making. There we go. Right. That's that. So tail. However, if you have to make a different color cat, and this is what I'm going to show you now. So you have a grey to make a grey cat. You can also mix white and grey to make grey, a different color, a different type of grey. So this is the grey you have in the kit. This is the grey that you could potentially mix from your white and grey wool. And mixing wool is very easy. You just overlay the 2 colors and you tease them apart, and you're always pulling them in the same direction as you're overlaying them. So it's almost as if you're imagining that you're aligning the fibers as you're pulling them and overlaying them. So it's a much darker grey, which might work quite well for a grey tabby, because they often have darker grey in them. So you can mix more than 2 or 3 colors. You can mix them all together if you like. So it's a much darker grey. You can lighten that grey up by just adding a little bit more white again. The main thing is use small quantities, because you've only got your fingers to cook with this wool. And if you've got a large quantity, the wool doesn't get mixed properly. So now I've made that shade a little bit lighter. So it's lightening up the colors by adding white, making it darker by adding the darker color. You can use this grey as a base and add white or black into it. If you want this to be really light, then add white into it. If you want the ginger color to be less ginger, then you do what I did just then, or you could even with the white wool, or you could use an already lighter tone of the wool that's in there, which is a little bit like a very pale ginger color, like a caramel color. Mix that together, and then you've got a softer ginger color here. There are so many ways of doing this, of mixing your shade. What my experience has been when people have been doing these needle felted cat projects, they found the exact color. The other one that's really popular is if you have that ginger color and you mix it with black. That's great for a dark torty cat, because they often have these really dark, almost black but not quite, markings, so that you can use this on your dark torty cat. I might use this on mine here in a minute, just for a patch. And if you're doing a grey tabby, sometimes they're more like a grey-brown tabby. So you've got a brown, almost like a brown-grey here already. You can mix this with, what did we use here? mix it with black to make it a nice sort of mix of brown and black. They often have that color in them. They often have that color in them as well. That's slightly paler brown. And so this is really where you go to town on your cat, because it's your cat. You decide what color it needs to have. Now I'm going to use this patch here that I've mixed for at least one ear. Now the ear is not similar done. It's not difficult. It's done similar to how you did the nose, in that you needle felt a triangular shape, but only the top part, and then fold the wool in on both sides. So this will fasten itself to your felting mat. So to give it a few stabs, and then just lift it off gently, and then you stab it from the other side. It looks quite messy to start with, but as you're felting it down and neatening up the edges, especially if you are felting this down so solidly, you could even neaten the edges by cutting it with scissors. And then of course, if you are a maker's follower, you will probably have one of these, which is an edging tool. Now we didn't have that at the last Cats Protection craft along, so this might be something that's completely new to you if you've come over from from the group. And I'm really struggling to find my medium needle, so I'll try this one. Oh, that feels good. Here we go. So just felting into the edges, and you can really neaten up these edges and see how that ear gets shaped just by placing it inside the edging tool to neaten out the edges. So I'm just felting this down a little bit more. Some cats have bigger ears, some have smaller ears. Again, this is in your personal choice now, how you're going to design your cat and how you personalize your cat. But especially if you have got a... oh, I've forgotten what to say now. Yeah, it's gone out of my head. There was a sentence forming, and it decided not to be there by the time I was ready to speak it out loud. Especially if you have no idea what I was going to say. Anyway, here we go. One ear done. So what you need to pay particular attention to is that you make the ears the same and the second time round. So I'm going to actually use this ginger wool that I've mixed already. So I'm needle felt that triangular outline on there, just an open triangle, just 2 lines. Fold the rest of the wool in, and it fastens itself to the mat. You then have to lift it off very gently, turn it round, felt it from the other side. Looks very messy. And I'm going to use my edging tool because it works much faster. Love this one. This is the larger round one. We've got a slightly smaller one and a square one. And then just felt the ear into shape so that the edges get nice and neat and don't look too disheveled. Mind you, sometimes cats, they get into fights and they might have a bit of ear missing. If that is a particular marking on your cat, then you can make that obviously to match your cat. There we go. So 1 ear, 2 ears. There we go. Right, I'm going to now show you how to attach them. So you have, you can also add a little bit of, you can add a little bit of pink in there if you want to, just to use tiny amounts with wool that sort of goes on afterwards. You have to be really delicate so that it's almost like a little dusting, and it's only meant to represent maybe the skin that's slightly showing through underneath the fur, or it could be that they've got very hairy ears on the inside. So I'm going to fasten this now onto the cat, and all I'm going to do is I'll just felt down into the wispy ends of that ear, just get the ear down, and now I'm going to start shaping it. And the way to shape it is that you go into the back by stabbing into the base to bring the ear slightly forward, and then you have to stab into the imaginary ear hole so that the shape of the ear is complete. don't worry too much about what it looks like around it, because you're going to work wool over it to make markings, and this goes for every cut, whether you are doing a multicolored or a plain cut. You will always have to have an extra layer going over the top, even for a white cut, because this isn't properly white. You will want to use the proper white if you make a white cut. Right, so get the ears on, and I will show you now what I meant about the eyes. Make sure that the ears are symmetrical. Again, you can adjust it by just stabbing into it a little bit more or pulling them slightly to one side or the other. So 2 ears are on now. Stab them a bit more because they have often sort of quite big shell shape ears, don't they? They're very sort of like curved. Here we go. And then you need to attach the eyes. So attaching the eyes, I've already discovered that I've got the wrong eyes in this kit, in that they are meant to be clear so that you can colour in the back, but in my kit we've got 2 black, solid black eyes, so I have mixed a little bit of green to make the surround green, and I'm just going to felt down where the eyes are going to go, just as a little hollow here. I don't think that is in the instructions, but sometimes that helps, especially if you, as I'm going to do in a minute, add a little bit of green wool as a background. So just getting the eye sockets felted down here and adding a little bit of that green wool that I've coloured in myself with a Sharpie pen to pop inside that eye socket. And you want to work with neat edges. Sorry, so much better, my hay fever. Oh my goodness, I really didn't think I would survive. I remember there was one cuts protection, one craft along that I did, and it wasn't last year, it was the year before, but I had the worst cold. It was the worst day of my cold, and if only had been the day after, it would have been so much better. And I kept apologizing. I was absolutely on my knees, but of course I couldn't let you guys down, so yes, I did persevere, and I was just feeling so sorry for you all, because you have to listen to me sniffling and coughing and good knows what not. So right, so I'm going to poke a hole now into the green wool with my felting needle all the way in. Once the needle is in, but only once the needle is in, you can give it a bit of a jiggle, pop the eyeball in there, well, not the eyeball, what do you call it, it is the pupil, actually, in my case. And if you want to, you can make the green a little bit bigger, or the colour of the eyes a little bit bigger around it. I actually quite like it with these big eyes. Our Georgie, when he sits there, he's got the biggest eyes ever. The biggest pupils, when they sort of look at you very innocently. They don't always have, as we often think, that cats have got these slightly slit eye... what are they called again? Pupils. They don't actually. They're often really round, especially when they look innocent, but they're never innocent. So once the eyes are in, like this, you can then, you need to use a little bit of glue, have a dab of glue, have a glue stick ready, like this one here, the stick it one, and I used that yesterday, and I haven't actually checked that it's working. Oh yes, it's working again. So add a dab of glue behind the eye, just a little bit. Don't take the eyes out again, you'll regret it. Oh no, it's not working. I think it's got clogged up yesterday. 2 live streams in a row is quite something. I don't do that very often anymore. Okay, just pretend I've glued that in. There was another one that I had. See if that is working. Oh, this is not good, is it? I should have checked them beforehand, but you know how they get clogged up. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to add a little bit of glue onto the back of my felting needle, pop it behind the eye like that and push it in. I'll do the same on the other side. So this is one way of applying glue. Use your back of your felting needle, and the glue that we are using is completely clear drying, so it will not leave a mark. Can't find the lid now. Oh, there it is. Right. So I'm just going to leave the eyes alone now. So we've got our cat, looks like this now. And now we need to completely color him in. Now you can actually add a little bit of an eyeline around the eye already. But if you're doing this, do this so minimalistic. Don't go crazy on it, because it really can spoil the look of the cat. So I've just got the tiniest amount of wool that I've just turned into a little strand. And I'm just going to pop that down around the eye very, very delicately. So I'm going to catch up with some of the chats in a minute. And like this. Sometimes it's enough to just do this at the base of the eye, and you don't want to put it on the top. Just put it on the base. In fact, I like that better. I'm going to take that off again. Just do it on below the eye, and then, because whatever happens next with the colouring in will sort of distinguish the top of the eye anyway. There we go. So we've got a very it almost looks a little bit like a kitten with these big eyes. Got our little cat here now with a smudge on its nose, different colour ears, and ready to receive the rest of the colouring in. Right, let's have a quick look what's happening here. I might just have to read. Just need to read. Find where we last were. Oh yes, here we go. Forgot to say his name is Munchkin, says Lorna. Ah, that was Lorna's cat, Munchkin. Oh, I like that. Christine says, hope I can catch up later as my dog needs to go out. Oh yes, no, you must. This is the difference between cats and dogs. With cats, they just go out. With dogs, you got to go with them. Gina says, it gets a bit confusing around here with cats' names. My hubby nicknamed the neighbor's cat Tiger, which we have since found out his real name is Fergus. And the rescued adopted cat is called Tiggs, short for Tigger. And so we have a tiger and a tigger. Oh, I like it. Perfect. Fiona says, my sister got 2 black kittens and let her kids name them. Angelina and Slime became part of the family several years ago. Several years on, and I can't imagine Slime being called anything else now. Love the name. Bogbrush. Yes, definitely a good name. Fiona Dickinson, we ended up with Woody from the Toy Story. Oh. Dawn says, lovely to catch up. Need to head off now to belly dance class. Oh, wow, that's amazing. Thanks, Steffi. Anne says, a friend's cat who appeared during lockdown is called DC. I had to ask her why. She said it stands for... Oh, no. It stands for Dominic Cummings. She thought it suited him as he was a real... Yes, no swear words allowed. Feral soul. Yes, I'm not wearing my halo tonight. Oh, are you on that gin again, Anne? Oh, dear. Yes, I'm just thinking of abbreviations of initials that I would call a cat, but I don't think I could do that to a cat. DC is a real feral cat, half an ear, a limp, and doesn't trust anyone. Aww. Claire says, my friend's cat was called Sifa. Sifa cat, and the dog was Difa. Oh yeah, I love that. I've heard that before. Years ago we had 2 dogs and 4 cats, all rescues. One Christmas Eve, the Rottie got the fridge door open. The 6 of them cleaned up the fridge out of everything. Meat, trifle, cheese, even the butter. Mum was so upset we had beans on toast for Christmas dinner. Oh my goodness, that is hilarious. Well, so we have got a rescue dog called Honey, and our dogs are so good. You can leave food on the floor; they will not touch it. But we had bought when my youngest daughter had a sleepover with friends, so we had bought a round of. In fact, we had bought, I think it was 12 donuts in a tray, and we left those in the shopping bags, and they were obviously wrapped up. And when we got home, all donuts had disappeared, just the empty packaging, and we didn't know who had done it. There were two very, very guilty looking dogs and another one that didn't look that guilty. So the way that we found out who ate them was by looking in their mouth, and they still had the hundreds and thousands of the cake decoration, the sugary decoration, stuck in their teeth. So some were blue and pink and green. So we knew exactly who had done this, and it was definitely Honey, our rescue, and then Millie, our Cocker Spaniel, who's very, very partial to food. She probably didn't want to say no. It would have been very impolite. So yes, and then our Springer Spaniel was completely oblivious to it. She didn't eat any. She was a good girl. Rightio, so let's get on with the cat. I'm just going over onto the overhead again. And what happens next is that you are now colouring your cat in, bit by bit and bit by bit. So what I'm not going to do all of it, because I want to show you how to do the whiskers as well. But in any case, if you want to give your cat stripy legs, then you do that. I'm going to you can put little toe beans on your cat. The main thing is that you're literally just colouring in your cat, and you're also doing this. I'm just adding a bit of white. You're also doing this so that you're joining the legs even more to the body. So whatever colour you're applying to your cat, make sure that it overlaps into the next body part, so to speak, that you've added, so that you don't have any join visible, that it's all just one smooth shape. And you can do that quite easily. Work with small quantities, less is always more. Don't get too excited and add too much onto it. And you can obviously continue giving your cat the very individual markings that she might have. So she might have one black foot and the rest white, or the other way around, or she might be or he might be very symmetrical, so try and keep that symmetry. There will be limits to what detail you can add, obviously, so stick to the more prominent and obvious markings that you know your cat has got. So I'm just going to pop a little bit of black at the end of the foot here for a black-footed detail. Felt this down, and I'll show you also how you finish off the face, because the face is actually something where you don't want to go wild. You want to keep that quite delicate and subtle. So that one has got a black boot on. And then of course keep mixing your wools. I'll do that. Mix a bit more of that, give it a black patch and then a white patch, and so wherever you want to add the details onto your cat, just pop them on. Try and make them go over into another body part so that they're not completely separate. And if they happen to be separate on your cat, then maybe felt another layer of wool underneath so that you join up the parts. Let's pop a little bit of more ginger here. Sometimes the wool can be applied so that it spills out, so you have a soft edge. Sometimes you can do it so that it's a very sharp edge. So to have the soft edge, you spread the wool out and allow it to sort of fizzle out into the rest of the shape. if you want a very strict edge, you're going to have to felt into the wool at a very precise in a very precise point. So just keep your needles in a straight line or in a curved line to distinguish the color that you're adding on and make it look slightly different. So with the face, I'm gonna do this next. You want to mix your wool that for the whatever color wool comes down into the forehead. So I'm going to do mine, well, could potentially be one side different to the other. So I'm going to not do that, just so that I can show you what I mean. So I'm going to use a mix like this, like a soft, slightly softened ginger color. I'm going to pop that, so you're applying the wool how the fur runs. That's the other next important lesson, so to speak, about needle felting any animal really. Try and lay the wool out how the fur would naturally run, and then felt it down in exactly the same way. Now if you have some really long fibers in the wool, as I've had here, then just pull them out. They tend to just sort of stick out, and you can pull them out. So add the wool like you imagine. I mean, I can actually probably even still now add a little bit of a different color in here, because again, I'm felting it down in that direction. So I'm just trying to make that cut like a little light torty with a few patches here and there. And then the rest can stay white. So, and especially with multicolored cats with multicolored faces, they often have also multicolored whiskers. So they might have the dark whiskers on the dark side of the face, and the light ones on the light side of the face. But in any case, what I'm going to show you, I'm going to use the dark whiskers, and I'm going to put them into the cat as they are. And this is not what you necessarily do, but if I put now a black patch on the cat and put black whiskers with it, you will not ever be able to see it. So I'm just going to show you the technique of how you do the whiskers. This is something you do at the very, very, very end, and you will need a sewing needle. I have got one of these mega long doll's needles, which is actually probably not the best, but my other needles are far away and I can't reach. So I'm going to stick with this, but you do not need a long needle like that. What you do need to do is you need to thread the whisker onto your needle. And I'm just going to take this off so you can see the whiskers against the lighter mat. So I've got, it's here on my needle now, but I'm not going to pull it very much through. I'm keeping it quite short, the end, because I've got to bend it. And that bend will stay as a bend in the whiskers. So you don't want to lose too much of the whisker where it's bent, and you can't unbend it. So this is now bent. And then you basically go in from one side all the way through to the other side. You do not need a long needle like I have here. All the way, so that you get to the end. Oh gosh. You get to the end of that strand. So that there's my whisker now, here. And then you go back on yourself. But you are now not pulling it all the way through, because you're going to keep a loop at this end that will make two whiskers when you cut the loop open. So it's only where you start out where you end up with one, and also where when you end it, you end up with one. So go all the way through again. Pull it. It gets easier as the strand of, this is, by the way, is horsetail hair. And whiskers are different lengths, so don't worry too much if one loop is slightly bigger than the other. And you just keep doing that, going back and forth through the cat's cheeks, muzzle, and until you run out. Now if you do just a white side and a dark side, then instead of keeping the loop on one side, you pull it tight, so that you only have one color on one side and then have the other color on the other side. So you see what I mean now about keeping the end really quite short, because that part gets very crinkled up and is pretty much useless by the end, by the time you've finished. So you want as little of that you want to lose as little of that as possible. So that might be, because I've got such a hideous long needle, might be the last one I can do, but I think that's okay. Oh, there. So if I had a slightly shorter needle, well, I can probably get one more in, because I can thread the needle whilst it's in there. Pull that through. Here we go. So now you can still adjust the whiskers a little bit. I'm going to cut this this kinky bit off there. It's not really kinky. I'm always using the wrong words. You know what I mean. The bit that looks not so nice. Where are my scissors gone? Ah, okay. Gotta open a new pack. No, I found them. There we are. Okay. So that's the bit that I just kept at the very end, so very little waste. And then you're gonna add a bit of glue onto the exit and entry points of the whiskers. Now, if this glue was working, I wouldn't have to do what I'm doing now, but because I know it's not coming out of the nozzle, I'm just going to use the back of my needle. Oh, this might be the problem here. Let's get rid of that. So I should say that I always refill my glue pens, which is probably one of the reasons why they get slightly clogged up, because I obviously don't wash them out. But just add a dab of glue at the end of your entry or exit points, whatever you want to call it. And that will secure the whiskers. So just leave it to dry. Remember, the glue dries clear, so it shouldn't leave a mark. And you will do this at the very, very end, when you've decided what color your cat's muzzle is. And then, once you've done this, you will use your scissors and cut the loops open. So now you've got the whiskers of the cat complete. Now some people, I know it looks like very gluey at the moment, it will completely disappear. I prove the point to you. There we go. That's whiskers in there that have dried, and they're just sort of sticking out. I don't know if you can see this on the ginger cat, but there are light whiskers here sticking out in all directions there. Some people actually collect their cat's whiskers because they do sometimes lose them. There's another one with just black. So these are now secure. You can pull at them and they don't move. You just need to let them dry off. And that basically, even though I haven't completely coloured the cat in, you get the gist of making these funny little cat decorations. And if you want to, you can give details like that as well, of course. So whatever colour cat, whatever design, I'm sure you can make your very own individual personalised cat. And I'm just going to have a look at some of the comments here, because I also want to show you, where are we? Oh yes, that was all the cats and dogs eating the Christmas food. Margaret says, sorry I'm late, everyone. Don't worry, Margaret. You can always rewatch it, like anybody can. Dorcas says, I had Mimi, Suki, Marcel, Carmen, Musetta. Oh my goodness, opera names. My Mimi cat kept bringing me presents to show her appreciation. Oh yes, I can imagine what that is. Mice, one harvest rat, starling. She was gently told that was not allowed. Okay, she decided to bite my favorite pot plant that received a lot of my attention. The plant bloomed beautifully with glorious red flowers. I took the plant onto the lawn to take photos. Everything was set up to take the photo. Mimi was nowhere to be seen. Click went the camera and swoop went the plant. A cat came flying through the air. They are just the funniest creatures. Honestly, Georgie must smell it when I'm out trying to take photos. Sorry, this is me on my toilet roll. Trying to keep my nose from streaming with this hay fever. And toilet roll it is, because I've gone through all the tissues. So I will just give you a very quick peek at and you are completely privileged. Nobody else has seen this yet. But if you keep it, well, don't keep it to yourself. Tell anybody. But we are going to participate in a 5th Craft for Cats craft along. And we want to make it a huge success. So obviously we need all of your support. But if you haven't spotted it yet, it is going to be... This is what we're going to do. There you go. You can make your own cat jewellery. You can make earrings, a pendant and a brooch. Now there are all of those. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Four items can be made from one kit. It's really full, and you will get in there. You will get some wire so you can make that ledge or that branch that the cat is lying on. You will get 2 earring fittings so you can make the earrings, and you get 3 pins to feed through the cat so that you can actually hang. There's a little loop at the top of that pendant, so you can hang your cat onto a necklace chain or similar. And these will go live over on the Cats Protection website on the 5th of August. So this is the sneak peek that you are allowed to have. You can of course make multiple of just 1 or 2 designs. You don't have to make them all. Some people don't wear earrings. Some people want to just have cat brooches. You can make more than 1 cat brooch, and of course you can make all the different designs that you want to. I'll just show you a few here. So just very quickly, so we've got here a black cat, we've got a grey cat, we've got a tabby cat, a ginger cat, a dark torty cat. I'm wearing a torty cat. You can make the matching earrings and pendants, and so there's endless possibilities for you to get crafty with Craft for Cats, and I'm hoping very much that you will keep an eye out on the Craft for Cats Facebook page, but of course they will be advertising it everywhere else on Facebook and on the newsletter. And if you're not already subscribed to the Cats Protection newsletter, then do go onto their website and subscribe. And also you can just literally keep searching for Autumn Craft for Cats, and then it will come up. So we are actually live streaming the make along on the 14th of September. That is a Saturday, so you can watch the make along live in the group. But also, if you're not on Facebook or don't want to join a group or whatever, you can also watch this as a YouTube tutorial, which gets uploaded as soon as I finished doing the live stream. So this is it. I hope you've all had lots of fun making along potentially one of those cats. Just reminding you, you can get these type of cats, or you can buy the angel cat, or you can get the little sleepy cat, the curled up cat, or you can get the cat baubles. All of this is still available to purchase from our website. They're all past Craft for Cats projects, and 20% of the retail price goes directly to Craft for Cats, or to Cats Protection, I should say. So the cats benefit even now. And yes, that's it really. Can't say any more. I hope you enjoyed this, and I will look forward to seeing all your cat makes, and maybe with the real cats by their side. So take care, everybody. Just quick catch up on what people are saying. Thanks, Steffi. Cat kit is now packed for Devon. Excellent. Emily says, thank you, Steffi. We'll be getting this kit, says Jane. Thank you, Steph. Have a restful evening. Thank you. I'm gonna pack my bag. I'm off to the festival of quilts tomorrow. Sharon says, oh, love this cat jewellery kit. Emily says, oh, I will definitely be coming to we'll be probably coming to cat jewellery. Wow, brilliant, just spotted the earrings. Yes, I thought I could sneak that one in quietly. Making mine along with you, Steffi, but not coloured him in yet. Lovely, says that's Jane. Sorry, need another piece of toilet paper. Oh my goodness. Oh, terrible. I hate it when your nose just keeps running. Great to listen to your explanations. Thank you, says Christine. Sorry you had to listen to me sniffling and blowing my nose as well. Are there more Facebook Lives coming up? Yes, there are. So I'm about to put on another live stream for our Jacob sheep. That's going to be a free tutorial. And then I'm thinking of listing a Zoom tutorial, as we've done before, which you would have to pay for to participate and make for the large tiger moth picture. And that's an old Maker's Box project, but not everybody was around, and maybe you've still got the box at home and you need the tutorial to make along. So that's it. I think I'm done, and I shall leave you all to hopefully get some cool air tonight, but I'm not wishing the nice weather away. So take care, everybody. Lots of love, and I'll see you soon. Bye.